Hey, what up, people? It's Kuqui here, and it's been a while since I've recorded. Um, and I'm here to tell you guys, um, that I'm going to record something that I've been wanting to record, and it's 2K gameplay, but not just any 2K gameplay, like just my career and stuff. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be something I basically do in every single NBA 2K, but I never record because I always enjoy doing it and I have a lot of fun. And it's basically simulating an association, not just one season, a plethora of seasons. Um, and that's basically what I do. But it has a lot of twists, and that's what I want to explain to you guys so that upload when I'm uploading these videos, you guys are aware of what's going on and how I do it. Okay, so I choose every single team, every single one. It doesn't matter if it's the best team or the worst team. I choose every single team of the association, and I add 6 expansion teams that I choose, and I add them. So I have 36 teams. Um, and yeah, so basically, I start the season with a random team. There's a lot of randomness in this, in what I'm about to tell you guys. So I start the association with a random team. I go to the team and I hit simulate with simcast, which shows basically the score of the game as it's progressing. And when it reaches the fourth quarter, if it's a tight game, let's say it's tied with 4 minutes or less, then I'll enter the game and play as the best player from the team that I have that I have chosen, right? And I play with that player alone. I lock that player, and I have to play with that player to try and win. But all the plays have to be from that player. I could make assists, rebounds, but or shoot, mainly shoot. And I try to get ridiculous maybe stats or stuff on players. The the difficulty of the game is going to be pro because that's the fun of it. I want to choose different players and do ridiculous stats from it, but that's not the whole part of it. It gets kind of tricky, so if you guys don't understand something, let me know and I'll try to explain it better. After the game is finished, I I have that team uh picked, right? Oh, I didn't explain something. If the game is tied with 4 minutes or less, or the team is winning by a margin of 6 points or less, the opposing team, then I can enter the game. If my team is winning from the minutes 4 to 2, right? Then I don't enter the game because my team is winning. It's not that concerning. But as soon as it passes the 2 minute mark, if I'm winning, then I cannot enter the game if the other team somehow just passes me or something. I have to let it simulate, and whatever happens, happens. So that's that. After the game is finished, I have already a team locked. Already a team chosen from the 36 teams that I could play. But I have to go to that team that I have chosen's next game. So let's say he doesn't play in that team doesn't play in 3 days, then I have to simulate those 3 days until the next game. What happens between those 3 days? There's a lot of injuries that occur just randomly in the association, as you simulate it. And what I do is the first two teams that show an injury, let's say it's the Chicago Bulls and the New York Knicks, I have to trade a player between those two teams. I have to trade them. So there's constant trading, there's constant movement around the league, and it's very interesting. What happens? There's a lot of stuff that, like, I've been years playing this type of game mode, and I really like it. So what happens? You trade a player from both teams, and the higher percentage overall player that goes to either of the teams is the team that I am going to be basically playing as, simulating as, for like for the next few days. What does that mean? Let's say I trade Zach LaVine for Julius Randle. Zach LaVine has more overall than Julius Randle, so I simulate as the Knicks. And since Zach LaVine would be my highest rated player, I have to play with Zach LaVine if the game comes down to crunch time. If the game doesn't come down to crunch time, then I just simulate it and just go to the next one. I could only trade players when I have already simulated one game of the team that I traded with, So let's say Zach LaVine for Julius Randle. I have to play the next game of the Knicks obligatory, and when that game is finished, I mark the next Knicks game. But then the two other teams that have injuries, I have to trade with them, and then the pattern continues. Now there are some things that can eliminate the trade completely, which is if a team has an injury, and then that same team is the next team to show an injury, the trade gets canceled and there is no trade. So then the next two teams can trade. So let's say the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard gets injured, and then the next injury that shows on the simulation is John Wall. Then they're both Clipper players, and that trade cannot happen, so it's eliminated. And then after that, the Timberwolves and the Mavericks have injuries, so those two teams are the two teams for which I will be trading players. Of course, if you simulate from one game to another and get to another game without any injuries or with a lot of elimination injuries, then you have to keep simulating as the team, as the New York Knicks. Let's say I simulate a game with the New York Knicks, and then I click on the next game that would be on the schedule, and no injuries were shown, then I have to keep simulating as the New York Knicks, until a trade occurs. What else? There's a lot of stuff, because in the off season it's a whole bunch of stuff. I will explain that in another video, but I just want to explain this. I play as the stars of the teams, but if I were to lose a game, let's say Zach LaVine, right? Let's stay with that. And that example, if I lose a game as Zach LaVine in the New York Knicks, then I no longer can play as Zach LaVine for that season. Well, you can, but it's almost impossible, because then you'd have to play as the second highest overall player in the team, which would be Jalen Brunson. So then you'd have to do that with basically the whole roster, so you wouldn't basically be playing as Zach LaVine, because you'll be switching through teams in the association a lot, and you guys will get it once you see the actual game. Other factors, the the champions, the team that is the champions at the end of the day, let's say it's the Golden State Warriors like last year. The best rated player of that team is protected. He cannot be traded whatsoever. It doesn't matter if there's trades targeting him or anything, he cannot be traded. Other things. If I'm gonna trade a player, because I do it randomly, I go to the player that's injured and then choose the team, and then I randomize it basically. And if I land twice on the same player that cannot be traded, like an injured player or something, then the trade gets eliminated. Let's say Zach LaVine gets injured in the next game that I simulate, and I go and trade with, like, the Knicks have to trade because Zach LaVine got injured. If I land twice on Zach LaVine, I cannot trade anyone from the Knicks, and the trade gets eliminated. And if there gets if a trade gets eliminated, I automatically have to keep playing with the team that I have currently chosen. So it's not like the trade was eliminated, but then the next two teams that have injuries, I could trade. No, I have one chance to trade per simulation. Maybe all this is a lot of information, but it will make sense once I show you the gameplay. Basically, the videos for this are going to be quite long, I think, because it's pretty, like, one entire season with playoffs, off season, and all that is very long. I can take maybe a day, not a day. Of course, if I play like a whole bunch of hours, then I could do it in like a couple hours. But it's a couple hours, you could basically simulate a season very quick if you want. But I take my time because all these processes, and when we get to the playoffs, it's a whole different story, but I'll explain that on another video. That's how the season is gonna pan out. I have until a certain date that I can trade, and after that date, the final trade before that date, let's say it was the Knicks and the Bulls, like we said, and Zach LaVine, right, got traded to the Knicks. He's the highest overall player, so I have to stay with the Knicks for the remainder of the season. Unless they're a team that has no chance of entering the playoffs, I could make an exception and make another trade to see which of those teams I'm going to be using for the remainder of the season. Because it makes no sense to play as a team with no chances of making the playoffs. So I'd like to play with a team that has chances to make the playoffs. Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting, and you guys will get the hang of it as I start recording. But it's something that I literally do every 2K since like 2K16, 17. So it's very fun for me, and I hope it'll be fun for you guys. So yeah, if you guys have any doubts, let me know. If you guys enjoyed this video, share, like, subscribe. If you guys want, have a good night. God bless. Peace.